So my internet went down for 10 minutes the other day. So I wandered downstairs and had a chat with my family. They seemed like really nice people. Sound familiar? So familiar that that was one of the most popular letters to a national newspaper this year. Today I want to ask you, why are we more connected than ever before and yet so disconnected from the world and the people around us? Why do we work harder than ever before, despite our wealth, development, and technology? And is this continual striving, this relentless ambition, really the pinnacle of human evolution and enlightenment? Is this universal desire for an iPhone 6S or an iPad really the crowning achievement of our collective cultures, histories, and endeavors? Now cast your mind back to when you were young. What did you want to be when you grew up? So we're taught to dream big. I wanted to be a rock star, a sportsman, a successful businessman, preferably all of them at the same time. And I bought my first red convertible early in preparation for this. How about you? What did you want to be? Notice the words, to be. How many of you, whether back then or just now, answered calm, content, healthy, happy? Over 40% of children surveyed in the UK said, I just want to be rich. In my case, I became an entrepreneur. So by day, I run a big data business called PeopleGraph, working alongside Olympic mathematicians and artificial intelligence experts, building a people search engine, which we've codenamed Hoogle. And over the last few months, I've been raising millions of dollars from some of the world's leading investors. It's exciting, fulfilling, and of course, ambitious work. But, and I hope my investors haven't sensed or even maybe smelt this, I have been doing all of this whilst living rough in the woods in rural Somerset. This morning, I did my other business in this bucket. So, why have I been doing this? And why am I wearing this ridiculous outfit? You see, it kind of represents the way I feel, the somewhat split personality I felt in my life, trying to be all of the things that I wanted to be, chasing ambition and chasing goals and success, whilst also trying to be calm, content, and happy. And instead of achieving both of them, I've actually done neither well. It's caused me stress and failure, heartbreak and upset. I'm neither enlightened nor a millionaire. And yet, I've seen those extremes, and I'm not sure I'd want them either. So I've been pushing and pulling and trying to find a way to live that captures the best of both of those worlds. After business school, I set up a charity 24 hours drive from the nearest telephone in southwest Madagascar. And whilst on a world-famous business accelerator program, I ended up living in a van for 4 months on the streets of San Francisco. And I write a blog called Simple Tom, where I examine this tension between my desire to save the world and savor it. And what I've been slow to realize is that somewhere in these extreme contrasts that I've been injecting into my life, I've been trying to balance myself out, trying to prevent this ambition from killing my body and spirit. So quite often I've wondered, what on earth am I doing? And what am I doing on earth? At which point you might think, well, that's cute. There's this privileged guy having a bit of an existential crisis. Boo-hoo. Well, that is what's happening. I am. But the more I look around, the more I notice that the tentacles of this crisis have crept into our everyday lives. Our ambition is killing us. So let's look at my industry, technology, and all of its promises. The greatest minds of our generation now spend their days trying to work out how to make people click on more adverts. And it's working. And those apps are tuned to trigger basic psychological needs, to release dopamine each time we get a new notification or message. And lab rats have shown that that dopamine is more addictive than nicotine or alcohol. So who are the lab rats now? Our children now spend 6 hours a day in front of screens, and adults 8.5 and climbing. That's more than we sleep. And if you work more than 10 hours a day, you are 60% more likely to suffer cardiovascular issues. We and our children are more stressed, depressed, medicated, and obese than we've ever been. And this ambition for more technology, innovation, progress is gently throttling us, and we've hardly even noticed. Have we learnt nothing from Icarus? But if it was all bad, then it would be so easy to give up, and yet it's done so much good, lifting millions from poverty and sickness, enabling travel and comfort, and education and connection, and, of course, the spreading of ideas. So, who calls enough? When do we stop? And when do we start? What I've been slow to realize is that somewhere in these extremes lies a formula for happiness. And my happiness has never come at those ambitious edges, but in the middle. And those ambitions on the horizon, some of which I have been lucky enough to achieve, have often turned out to be follies when I've got there. And you only have to look at the troubled lives of the rich and famous if you're not convinced. So for me, happiness comes not with this next goal or achievement, but from simple things like spending time with friends, with nature, with family, which when I slow down, I start to notice and enjoy so much more. And what's really frustrating is I kind of know this already. I've been told it time and time again. That's an ancient message. It's the journey, not the destination. And yet, we're getting further and further from it. So, the TEDxBristol team must have known that I needed to rein in my ambitions because I've been given just 10 minutes. So I want to leave you today with 2 key thoughts. The first is choose simplicity. So whilst I thought that living in the woods in November would be hard and a real challenge, in fact, it's been totally wonderful. It's shown me how easy it is to get away and how unimportant many of the things that I bought or acquired or tried to cram in really are. This daily transition from bucket to boardroom and then back again has, if anything, enabled me to simplify. It's shown me that my business isn't about data or about technology, but about people. And it's not really about the what of the web or the where of the web, but who we are. And ironically, when I've disconnected, when I've stepped out of the echo chamber of my industry, I've started to understand where we can make a difference and also be most valuable in the real world. So by using less, I've understood more. Now, for those fighting to put food on the table, asking to simplify or go and live in the woods would be an insult. But I believe that for those of us here today, simplicity offers us a solution on the other side of our complex lives. Our ambitions to do more and faster and harder is killing us. And if we continue on this current trajectory, our descendants will be unhappier, unhealthier, lonelier, more stressed, depressed, and less fulfilled with life. That's a terrible legacy. If I could sum up everything I've learned in a single quote, it would be this: perfection is achieved not when there's nothing more to add, but nothing left to take away. The second thought today is we need to understand which of our activities are nourishing and what is that sophisticated junk that's being pushed in front of our noses by those clever people. I believe we need to develop a kind of spam filter for the inbox of our lives. Now, innovation's amazing and it's powerful, but we shouldn't just tacitly accept it. So give yourself perspective. For me, the more I tune into who I am and not what's expected of me, the happier I become. Now, simplicity sounds really easy, but in fact, it's really hard. And yet it's one of the most rewarding things that I have ever done. So shelve those plans to scale Everest or to climb the corporate ladder. I asked you at the beginning what you wanted to be when you grew up. Let's look at that from the other end of the telescope, from death. A palliative nurse asked her patients their dying regrets, and she heard the same thing over and over and over again. They were, I wish I'd lived my own life and not what others expected of me. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. If you're British, we can probably excuse you that one. I wish I'd stayed in touch with my friends, and I wish I'd let myself be happy. Those are what I'd like my kids to be when they grow up. But before I go, I have brought you something in from the woods. Something a little bit embarrassing, something quite personal. It is, of course, my bucket list. It's my list of all of the things that I wanted to be when I grew up, my ambitions. And I've been really lucky to have ticked many of the things off on this list. But I've unfortunately got a few left to go, like have a threesome, damn it. And also write a hit single. But I want to draw your attention to item number 54 on this list, which is, I promise, give a TED Talk. And so today, ironically, I achieved one of my ambitions, and now I'm going to do something I should have done a long time ago.